Hi and welcome. I'm Professor Nugent, and this is the Getting Started with BUS 330 Principles of Finance Online. This is going to be an overview of all the requirements for the course and an explanation of how to do well in the course and how to complete all the assignments in the course. So let's start out with Brightspace. So on Brightspace here, we have these table of contents tiles, which is also under content. Now, the first tile is the syllabus. So you should read over the syllabus in its entirety and be familiar with the requirements and the material covered in the course. The second tile is documents. This is where you will find the PowerPoints for the course lectures. So the PowerPoints will be here. Let me just go to a student view. Okay, so under documents, you're going to see the PowerPoints for the class and chapter Excel examples. So basically, when I go over the lectures for the class, I often include Excel examples, and I have them backed up here as well. So that's where you can find the course documents. Now, the Excel assignments can be found under Excel assignments or assignments up here. So when you click on the assignments, there are 5 Excel assignments. Each of the assignments may have multiple Excel workbooks to complete. All of the Excel assignments and workbooks come with a step-by-step tutorial on how to complete every cell of the assignment on our video lecture list, which I will show you where that is later. So when you're ready to work on the assignment, for example, Excel assignment 1 is due on February 15th, click on the assignment, and then you're going to have the files you need to download and complete. Under the assignment, I'll give you a link to the playlist for the course that will have the step-by-step tutorials of how to complete each of these files. When you've completed the files, you want to add the files and click on Submit. So you're going to add all 3 files, click on Submit for me to grade at a later date. Okay, so it's pretty simple. There's 5 of them, so keep track of the due dates because they do not accept late assignments. And then if you're confused on how to complete any of these Excel spreadsheets, watch the video tutorial where I'll go over everything you need to know to complete each of these Excel assignments. Okay, back to the course. All right. Now the Zoom business simulation, I'll talk about in a second. I want to go down here is where we have also have our class video list. And I put the videos up on YouTube to make it as accessible as possible. So you can watch these videos in your home, on your Xbox, on your PlayStation, on your iPhone, on your computer, wherever you find it most convenient. So there is the Getting Started video, which you're watching now, the Excel tutorial. So if you're not sure how to use Excel or you're new to Excel, I would highly suggest watching this tutorial. Then I have the lecture video, and after each lecture, I will have the videos that will review the Excel assignments. And I go over every step, every formula, so you really, this is going to be the best way to complete those assignments. And this, you just follow the list, and this will be all the videos for the course in one easy to find and work with playlist. Okay, now that that's covered, we need to cover the 2 other websites we'll be working with. So with Brightspace, we're going to be working with the documents and Excel assignments, and the syllabus will be here as well, and a link to the class videos. But we have 2 other websites that we're going to be working with. One is My Finance Lab. So we're going to go over that first. So when you click here, it will give you a link to My Finance Lab. So if you click on this, it's going to ask you to sign in or register as a student. Now, I will have an announcement, so we'll give a direct link to this course. But so under announcements, there will be an announcement posted with more specific directions on how to sign up for the homework manager. So let me just go into the announcements here, and so for the homework manager, I do have a link under announcements will be available when the course is open. And there's a specific course ID that you need, which is on the Getting Started announcement as well as the textbook announcement. So if you click on this particular link, this will bring you to a screen where I already have an account. When you sign in, it will give you this option: student access to My Lab Finance and e-textbook. So that the homework manager and textbook come together, and you click this link, and you'll see that it's for spring 2024, and I'm your instructor. And this is what you need to buy to get the textbook and the homework manager. Okay. Back to the course. Okay, so once you're in the homework manager, you want to sign in, and this will bring you to the course. So under the course, you're going to be working with Pearson eText. So here's where you have the textbook, and the textbook is, once you launch this, you can search for terms, you can change the size of the font. I think you even have the book read to you. So it's a very functional, very useful textbook. Besides the textbook, we'll also be working with assignments. So under assignments, you're going to have all the homework assignments. Homework 1 through 10 is already open and available for you to work on, but they have specific due dates. So you want to complete them before the due date because I'm not accepting any late assignments. So when you work on a homework, say for example, homework 2, here's the best way of completing it. You go into the question, and they're going to give you a question. You may have to move the slide bar up or down depending how big the question is. So read over the question, and you pay attention to how they want you to round it. So here to the nearest cent. And then if you're not sure, click on View an Example. This is the best way of completing the assignment because it will just give you an identical question but different numbers. So it's going to walk you through, as you hit continue, it's going to walk you through with a formula on how to complete each aspect of the problem with a fully written out formula and transaction. So this is the best way, if you're not sure how to answer any of the questions, is to go through this tutorial as you're answering the question. I also give you multiple attempts. If you get the answer wrong, I give you at least 2 attempts to get it right. And once you complete the homework in its entirety, once you answer all 3 questions and the homework is completed, you're going to get a result that will be stored under results. So here in results, you'll see your score for the class, and on results, I'm going to be putting in all of your homework, your tests, and your assignments will be here on My Finance Lab, not Brightspace. So your entire grade book will be under results on My Finance Lab, and I'll move the Excel assignment work from Brightspace into My Finance Lab at the end of the course. So you have all your grades here, and you'll have your percentage score here calculated at the end of the course. Okay. Now, however, on the assignments, if you don't like the score of your assignment, I give you unlimited attempts. So you can restart the assignment. When you restart the assignment, it erases all your previous work, and you have to answer and complete all the problems over again. But I give you unlimited times to do that. So if you work at it, it should be no reason not to get 100% on all of these homework assignments for each of the chapters. So again, what you're going to be working with is the e-text, the assignments, and results. So you're really only going to be using these 3 areas: e-text, assignments, and results. Now also under assignments, this is where your midterm and final will be as well, under assignments. So you will see your midterm and final under assignments as well, but they only appear on the date the assignment, the midterm or final is due. So I don't let you work on those early. There's one particular day that you must complete that. Okay, let's go back to mine. So that's the textbook, and the My Finance Lab can be found here, and you just follow the instructions to register and sign up. Okay, the last website that we'll be working with is the Zoom Business Simulation. So the Zoom Business Simulation, when you go into the simulation, well, actually, before we go into the Zoom simulation, I want you to know that there's something called groups. This is where, if you click on here, this is where you'll find your group. And when you're a student, your group will appear. This is in the faculty mode, so it shows everything. But your group will appear. So you're in team 1. This will be your group. And if you click on the members, this will show you the members of your team. And you can also, if you click on your team, you'll have the ability to email, because the faculty view, but you'll have the ability to email your team members through the group. So when you're ready, you click on groups, and this will bring you to your team and your team members, and you'll be able to communicate with them from here. Okay, so that's where, and it's also where your team names are. So if you're in team 1, that's your team. You might be in team 3 or team 5, but groups is where you're going to see them. Okay. So once you know your group team number, you want to go into the simulation, and you get there by clicking this link here, which is Zoom Business Simulation. You click that link, and then you click this link, and it'll bring you to the simulation. First thing you want to do to start this is click on register. So you want to register as a student. Okay, so we're going to register as a student. I'm going to fill this information in. Okay, so when you fill out this student registration, make sure you use the same first and last name that appear on Brightspace or Solar, so I know who you are, because oftentimes if you use a nickname, there's a lot of last names that can be the same. So I might have 5 or 6 students in the class with the same last name. So if you don't put your real first name as it shows in Solar, as it shows in Brightspace, I'm not going to know who you are. I might mix up your grade later. So for the homework manager and for Zoom, make sure you put in your correct first and last name. Don't use any nicknames, please. Okay, so once you fill in your first name, your last name, your email, your password, and your login information, click You're Not a Robot and register. Now, I would suggest saving your password to your browser. There's really no risk there. Now, there are no activation codes for this class because we're not buying a textbook that comes with activation codes for the simulation. You're going to have to buy directly, so you're going to click on Buy Now. And then make sure it only says, see 2 up here or 3? We don't want that. Make sure this just says 1 simulation. You're only buying 1. It's $39. And you click Checkout, and you finish paying for it with a credit card. And then once you're done, you'll be able to log in to the simulation. Okay, so I've created my ID, and I've gone back to the website, and I've logged in, and now we're going to see 2 options. Play solo practice, select your professor. These are 2 areas that we have to work in. So the first thing I want you to do is select me as your professor, and you're going to look for Mike Nugent, and then you're going to select Spring 2024, because that makes sense, right? Because we're in the spring and it's 2024. Please don't pick any of these old ones. You'll be put in the wrong class, and I won't be able to recognize you or give you a grade. You won't be able to work with the team members. So make sure that you know that we're in the spring semester of the year 2024. That's our class code. And I'm going to click Submit. Okay, so now, remember in Brightspace, this is under Groups. This is where you're going to go to find out what team you're in. Once you know what team you're in, you can go to Play Team Competition, scroll down. I'm in Team 19, that's me. So now I've selected my team. Now, once I'm in the team area, I can go back in, and now I'm in Team 19. So I'm going to put my name in. So I'm going to put my name and email address in. So when other team members log in, they'll be able to see me, and they'll have another spot where they have my name, and also have the ability to email me, to know my email in case they have to contact me directly. So that's on the company page. Later, you can go in and put in your mission statement. I'm going to submit that. Then we get into the first page, which is sales. We have sales, marketing, production, and finance. So on the sales page, I don't know what to do. What should I do? I wish this came with a manual. Oh, so if I keep scrolling down, there is a student manual. So I'm going to open up that student manual, and I'm going to read over the student manual. It's pretty short. It's about 15 pages, and I'm going to go through it. I'm going to look at it. It's going to explain all the mechanics of the simulation, the growth rates of the vehicle. And this is important too. This is the vehicle chart. It says this is if everybody made the same exact car, this is what I could expect to sell. So this is how I'm going to base my forecast on these amounts, which kind of show me how much I expect to sell every year. Okay, and they also have a schedule of a marketing and how effective each marketing area is and how they can translate into money. So this user guide is pretty key to understanding how to complete the simulation. Regardless, I'm going to walk you through. So when I'm putting this simulation together, I'm looking to see, okay, for economy class vehicle, it looks like the miles per gallon is pretty important to the customer. So I'm going to, but the engine power isn't as important. So for something that's this important, 25% of their buying criteria, I'll go to the top end of the range. I could even go above the range if I wanted to. For engine power, since that's less important, I'll pick at the lower point of the range. I can even go under the range because my customers don't care about engine power for an economy class car. They're most concerned about the fuel economy. So for safety features, I'll put in, somewhere in between the bottom and top end of the customer's expectation range for each of these. And then when it gets to sales price, I see it's 25% of their buying criteria, meaning that they would like a lower price, which makes sense. Okay, now the forecast, again, I'm going to go to the user guide and I'm going to see 2188 is the expectation of the average sales for that year one, because we're in Y1. I'm just going to put in 2000 because my car really isn't the best car at the best price, so I'm going to probably sell less than average. Okay. Now there's reflective observations to be filled out each round, and they want you to describe what is your strategy? What are you trying to do here? So I would say my strategy is to offer a car with high fuel economy at a lower price, a price in the middle or lower end of the customer expectation range to help to develop a demand for the car while also trying to make a car that's profitable for the company. So that's basically what I want to kind of hear is your idea of how you're putting this together. So then you just rinse and repeat on the other cars. So I'm just going to put in some numbers here. And again, I'm going to check the user guide to see what I need to put in for each of the cars. And I'm going to forecast a little bit lower because I'm just winging it here. I'm not really thinking too much how I'm entering the numbers in. And the same thing for the last two cars. So I'm going to fill in these numbers. Okay. And for each of the cars, I'm going to put in my own reflective observations. Then we're going to move over to the marketing page. So again, I need to go to the student user guide and read over the marketing section and understand that it looks like internet and television are the most effective way to advertise most of these cars. And I see that here's the budget range, the total range. So this is what most companies are going to spend between $500,000 and $1 million between these categories. So I'll probably put a bulk of my money in television and internet since that's where it's the most effective. And then I'll just put in some money in the other areas so I have some of it covered. And I see them coming in between 500 and a million, so I'm good on the advertising. But now I have to develop a slogan for each of my vehicles. Cheap cars that run well. There's my slogan. Overall demographic, I'll say I want to sell these to college students. And what strategies you're going to allocate for advertising investment dollars? Spend most of the money on internet and social media, where college students spend most of their time. Something like that. All right. Now, you'll see that it has this target demographic here. This actually is part of how you answer these questions down here. I don't think this doesn't actually affect your sales. It's the dollars you spend. So once you are done, you need to move on to the next car, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to fill out the rest of this. I'm going to pause the video so I don't waste too much of your time. Another thing to keep in mind, when you're done with each page, you must submit it. And you only get about 45 minutes to work on each page. So work quickly. Don't leave the site open because it's going to time out. So if you have this site open and you don't work on it and you come back to an hour later and you input data and submit, it's going to come back with an error. So make sure that before you start putting information in, that you're getting on the page fresh and you're moving through it pretty quickly, because there has been a problem in the past with the website timing out when people take too long to fill the answers in. Okay, so now I'm in production and I see that I'm going to forecast to build 2,000 cars, but I only have a capacity of 1,000 cars. So I'm going to buy a production plant to increase my capacity to 2,000 cars so I can manufacture 1,900. And I'm also going to invest some money in some operational investments. So I'm going to buy I'll buy one of each to help keep my car technology and at the forefront of the industry and help lower my costs. Every level of operational investments will make your car better and make it cheaper to build the next year. Okay, and then again, there's operational reflective observations you must fill out on what you're doing. So now I move to the sedan, and I'm going to need, looks like I'm going to need to buy 2 production plants here. Once I buy them, I have them forever. So they don't disappear, so I won't need to buy them again next round unless I increase my forecast to say 3,000, then I'll have to buy another set of production plants. Okay. And then we update our operational, and I'm going to move into truck. I just need 1 plant here. And then for luxury, I need 1 plant here. Typically, each round you're probably going to buy, most rounds you're going to buy a production plant or 2 as you increase your sales. Then I'm going to submit my production data. I'm going to move over to the finance department. So I'm going to go to so we have a full set of financial statements, last year's financial statements, and next year's estimate based on the inputs I made in the simulation so far. And I can see at the bottom I have a very small cash surplus. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to borrow some money. So I'm going to borrow 5 million in additional funds, 5 million in short-term debt, and I'm going to issue 5 million in stock. Later in the simulation, I can retire these amounts of money as I start becoming more profitable. But in the beginning, I'm not as profitable, so I'm going to need to borrow some funds to fund my company. So my strategy this round with additional funds is to borrow money to fund my investments, which are building factories and operational investments. This is where I'm spending a lot of money. So that's all you have to do. You want to make sure things are spelled correctly. Okay, so then once I have, you really have to have a surplus here. You don't want to ever have a deficit because you're going to lose 100 points. And I'm going to submit my data. So now my round 1 decisions have been completed, but this is something you need to work on with your team together. I'm just showing you as an example. But the assignment isn't quite done because there's 2 sides to the assignment. So let me sign in again and show you. I was showing you an example of the team assignment, but you must also complete. So the team assignment, you work with your team members to complete in any way you want to do it. And I just ran through the basics of how to complete the round, but you also have to play solo practice. So in this game, you have to log in and you need to complete 6 rounds to get to the end of the solo game. So the solo game is something that you do by yourself, and every student must do this by themselves, complete the entire simulation by a specific due date. So it works the same as a team simulation where you input your numbers as you move through the simulation. But there's one thing a little bit different. So I'm going to put these numbers in without really any care. So I wouldn't suggest copying my inputs here. I'm just going to put in some numbers. Now, the thing about the practice game is that it's going to be continuous. So you don't have to wait. For the team simulation, you have to wait for me to process it so all the teams information can get in there together and we can compete student team against student team. So there are due dates for each of the team rounds. It takes time before I can process it. I have to wait for everyone to be done. But the individual practice, you're playing against computer players. So you don't have to wait for me. You can keep moving ahead and complete this individual practice whenever you have the time, up until the due date. So I complete the individual, then I'm going to do the marketing, production, and finance. I'm going to pause since I just went over this. I'm going to complete it, and I'm going to come back and show you what happens when you get to the end of the solo game. Okay, so I've completed the marketing and production. I'm in the finance page of the solo practice. And at the end, I have a surplus, so I'm going to complete. Now, what happens when you complete round one is that it's going to automatically push you into year two. And then you get these results. So on the results page, it shows me for all the financial ratios. These are things that I'm going to be learning in the class, what these financial ratios mean and how to improve them and how to analyze them. That's all chapter 3. So right now I made 1,100 points for round one. So I get my score and I can analyze my results. Then I go into my assessment. This is where it shows me by stars, performance, and also descriptive of how to improve my scores the next round. And you can see that I did pretty well here in all areas except operational investment. Then there's a set of charts that we can review to see how you did for your team compared to in the solo practices computer players. Then I have the industry review of all my inputs. And I can also look to my competitors, what they inputted to help augment my strategy. I can check out my full set of financial statements. Again, this will be explained what financial statements are and how they're used in finance during the course. And then I start over in year two, and now I must have to do it again, where I'm going to input my inputs for year two for my, but now I have my year one decisions, and I got to work on year two, and you see that the customer's expectations have increased. So I'm going to have to increase how I'm making the car because customers are now expecting more. As that happens in the industry, the new iPhone comes out, it has bigger features, more camera definition, more space, more faster processors. It's the same thing with audio, with automobiles. Companies are going to make them better every year, and I'm going to have to go through and redo my sales, my marketing, my production, my finance, and complete this to the end and submit it. And I have to get all the way and complete 6 rounds. So I'm in round 7 and I've completed the entire simulation, and I would completed the individual portion of the Zoom simulation. Okay, so that was a lot, and I'm sure you can rewatch this to kind of get a better idea of what I'm talking about. But now let's just go back to Brightspace and review the announcements. So the first announcement is about getting started. So we're going to watch this video to the end, review the announcements on Brightspace, register for the homework manager, register for the Zoom simulation. I also have another video backed up, which is another overview of how to complete round 1 in the simulation if you want another perspective on it. This is a little bit older, this video. That's why I redid it inside this getting started video. And then read over the syllabus in Brightspace. So that's basically what you need to do to get the course started. I do have a TA for the class, Nick, and Nick will be able to help you if you have questions about Zoom, the homework manager, the Excel spreadsheets. So you can ask Nick if you want some additional help in the course. He's very helpful. I also have instructions on how to register for my finance lab. So you basically click the link, pay for the finance lab, and you get the textbook with it. This is the course ID in case they ask you for the course ID. Remember, we're in spring 2024. I have instructions on the Zoom simulation. So let me blow these up a bit. So the Zoom simulation is a 40-point assignment. Our class code is spring 2024. You're going to complete part 1 worth 20 points is you completing the solo practice game, completing 6 rounds, scoring above a cumulative score of 1,500. And don't stop once you go over 1,500. You have to get to the end of the game and keep 1,500 or more cumulative points in the simulation. That's the solo practice. And this is meant for each student to get used to, understand, and be able to become a good team member when you do part 2, which is the team simulation. Okay, so the individual solo practice is due by February 15th, but the team practice starts and the first round is due on February 18th. And this is where you work with your group, which we talked about earlier. You can find on the group menu path at the above of Brightspace. and you work with the group, and here you must score above 2,200 points to earn the full 20 points for part 2. Otherwise, you're going to only earn 2 points for part 2. So you need to work as a team to earn those 2,200 cumulative points. So each round's points are added together to a cumulative means. So hopefully your final score of all your points together are above 2,200. And typically I have 90% of the teams able to achieve this. Okay, so you're going to automatically be placed in teams of 5 on Brightspace. You click on groups to see your team, and this is the schedule of the rounds and when they're due. So I have to wait to the due date, and once the due date reaches and you're done, I will process the round and review the results for the class. Okay, here's the course schedule. So basically the rough dates of when you should be going over each of the chapters on this. And we'll be watching the videos for the class. The midterm is on Wednesday, March 20th. The final is on Tuesday, May 7th. And the final and midterm is open all day, so you can schedule whatever time works best for you to complete it. I do have an Excel tutorial you should view. There's a video here to review this tutorial that I created to help you better understand Excel so you can do the Excel assignments. I have listed here all the Pearson homework due dates so you don't forget them. I have instructions here if you have a teammate that isn't participating. Remember that I'm not accepting any late assignments. And if you have a problem with Pearson, meaning you can't sign in, your password isn't working, I can't help with that. Please contact Pearson support. Again, for each midterm, for the midterm and the final, I do have an announcement for when it is. And I also have a quick review of how to complete the final and the topics that will be covered on the final for you to review and work on, and the same thing for the midterm. Okay, so that makes up all the announcements for the course. So let's bring this back down to a smaller size. We'll go to the course homepage. Okay, so feel free to email me if you have any further questions about the class, and I hope you have a great experience in this online class, and I'm looking forward to working with you. Thank you, and take care.